Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be one on my Accords wheel. It's a Cosi K1TS. I've had a lot of questions on that, so that's why I'm covering pretty much a little small video just specifically for this. I've customized it a little just to make it look a little bit better, just because I didn't really care for the stock form too much of that wheel. Since then, it's been discontinued, but mainly I've changed the center cap, and I've changed the I made some covers for the universal lug pattern, which I'm not too fond of. So just stay tuned, and I'll show you what I've done. All right, so this is what the stock wheel looks like, straight from Cosi with no modifications. And one thing I really don't like is the center cap. I think it sticks out way too far, so it looks kind of not too good for me. And then one other thing I don't really like is the universal lug pattern, since this is for 4x100, mine's by 4x100.3. These aren't utilized, so I'm not a big fan of them as well. So this is a wheel that I've completed. This is pretty much what I've done is I made my own center cap. It's a lot lower profile. It's about half the height of the other one. And then I put covers on here so that it looks a lot better. That way it doesn't look like it's missing something, and it gives it a little bit of a classier look, in my opinion. So the center cap that came with it, there's a couple of problems with it. One, this is plastic. So this ended up breaking. I've owned these wheels for 10 years now. I've gone through 3 sets of these caps, which was kind of a big problem. Eventually, it also becomes loose and it starts making noises. So then I had to put an O-ring in between, because this is being held on by the hub-centric ring and the actual wheel itself, not like the traditional ones where it snaps in from the outside. What I did to make it look better was I actually had a Honda center cap custom made, as you've probably seen in one of my videos before. Just like these lugs, I put covers in here so that it doesn't rust. I think small details actually make a big difference. And then the last one that I did was I actually made my own center cap out of metal. This is aluminum, it's anodized. I chose a slightly darker color, and I found a center cap that I was able to rob the emblem from, and then I just taped it back on. So since this is aluminum, this won't come apart later, which is what happened to my other ones, and then they pretty much fell, and I still have an O-ring in between to keep it from rattling. So the main thing in this I want to cover is I want to cover the caps that I've had here. The first one that I've ever made was from some furniture covers. This is just a little plastic cap that you can buy, and then I wrapped it in a vinyl that looked really similar to my wheel color, and then that just goes straight in here. But eventually it comes out as well, but it does look better just because it blocks all the things that's behind. But I was getting tired of changing them, so the next thing that I did was I measured the inner diameter here, and then I found out what I can tap it to. Turns out I can tap this to M16 by 1.5 or M16 by 1.25. I chose 1.5 because I could get a drain plug that's made with this thread pattern. So I was able to thread that in there, but I didn't really care for it too much, just because there's a hex pattern on the center. So then I ended up drawing one out, getting it turned into a step file, and then getting it CNC milled and made overseas, anodized, which is what you see on the other wheel. So on here, the goal is to cover up these extra holes here with my assortment of covers. So the ones that I was frequently asked about, because I had these for a while, is these furniture caps. These just really just pop right in, and I didn't like it just because I always had to replace them. You can see that this one's cracking already. The vinyl gets old, especially with the heat off of the brakes. And so it looks like this originally, and I just wrap it. And then, so in order for me to fit these on here, since these are threaded to 16 by 1.5, what I'm gonna have to do is I need to tap all these holes with the tap here, and then that'll fit in. And then I usually put a little bit of blue Loctite on there just so that it stays a little bit better. And then you could use this drain bolt here, but just keep in mind you'll have a hex pattern here. On mine, the one that I drew out and made, I put the hex in the back. That way you don't have to, you can still tighten it and you don't see it in the front. So when you're tapping it, what I would recommend is turning the wheel around. That way you have a lot more surface area to work with, rather than trying to go down into the cone of this wheel. And then you want to get one that's tapered in the end, so that whenever you're tapping it, you can put this down here. It's going to self-center for the most part, and then you can start tapping it. And once I've centered it, now I can start running this through. I just run it until it's completely through the end. That way all the threads are really clean. All right, so this is what it looks like after that hole's tapped. There's actually a lot of meat to bite on. Mine just happened to be an M16 by 1.5. Yours might be similar if you're running a M12 stud on your car, just like most normal passenger cars are using. And I'm gonna go ahead and tap all these four and then show you how the other cap gets put on. All right, now that all the holes are tapped, you can you can put in your covers. So in this case, I'll show you what it looks like to have a drain bolt. So this just threads right in and then it just covers it. It looks pretty decent. I think if you had no choice, this definitely looks better than, you know, not having any covers on it. I think the small details really matter. Or, you know, you can always just cover it up with a cover. That looks better without it. And then this is why I ended up making my own, which is one that covers exactly the whole size, and it doesn't have anything on top. So now that I have everything threaded over, I'm just going to turn the wheel around. And now that there's, you can see the actual hex itself, I can just turn it counterclockwise. But before I do that, I'm going to add some blue Loctite to it. That way I can remove it if I need to. And then I would just reverse it, just because this is a regular right-hand turn screw. And since it's on the inside, you just have to reverse it and then tighten it with a wrench. So after tightening everything, you can see that this doesn't protrude out more than the actual wheel itself, so it should be okay. All right, and this is the final result of what it looks like on the actual wheel itself. Everything's really flush. The cone right there goes along with the taper seat here, and then the back doesn't protrude out. So this is what I did. I just want to give you guys some different ideas. It is a lot of work to draw it out and get it CNC milled and, you know, anodized and everything, but there are other options like these caps here or a drain plug. But throwing ideas out there just so that you can see that it's possible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.